Wow, we are like, here's our lap. Ooh.
Yeah.
We're here. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Is there anybody out there?
Not right yet. Oh, yay. Yes, Sydney, I agree.
What?
We certainly need Tranquil currently.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we do. Tranquil and some liquid courage and...
Brought to you by Mountain Dew Baja Blast Hard Alcohol.
Woo, and
Not hard alcohol.
Friday night. Woo. Oh, oops. I've got the YouTube channel up.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. Jenny, you've got the...
Keyboard?
Jenny is our tech director tonight.
Is that why everything's going so well?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Hi, Marlene. Good to see you on here.
We kind of got out the door. I don't think we were
got
really...
out the door a little bit late.
We weren't
not
really
too
paying
bad.
attention, honestly.
Yeah. It's Friday. Last week, I'm glad we finally got to go on air. Thank you guys for being patient. Well, we tried to figure it out from home. It worked.
Kind of.
It worked kind of. And yeah, I'm excited for tonight's painting. I don't know what Paul's doing. He's over there doing something, but here it is.
I'm looking for the remote, but I think it got left at home.
Okay. This reminds me a lot of your winter pond painting from a few years ago.
A couple years ago?
Yeah. And it's funny because the other day when we were walking in that area, I said, you should do something kind of like winter pond.
So
subconsciously tracked that.
Yeah, you know what was kind of, I wish I knew where the...
You don't need it. I didn't use it.
Yeah, well, I think, so here's the funny thing. I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a turtle.
Yes, I did notice it.
And I will...
There it is.
Gosh,
right. You just have to flip it up.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to do it that way.
Yeah, here, I'll go ahead and...
So, but I don't know if I have it on autofocus or not. But apparently not.
That's a turtle. Actually, it could be a little muskrat.
No, it's a turtle. Well, I can always do this. Gosh, you know what? I feel like I need to set this to autofocus. Hold on.
Oh, thank you, Marlene. That was a fun painting. Despite the chaos, Greta is feeling better, but still has a cough hanging on a week later. No muskrats. We get the winter pond painting that Paul did a few years ago, which he'll zoom out. It's just really funky looking right now.
Hold on, I gotta do something.
The little pond that we walk, there's a trail that kind of goes through between two ponds, and there's nutria in there. There, that looks good. Nutria in there constantly.
So the turtle on the log was actually the whole point of the painting, of all the crazy things. So let's get back here.
That's zoomed out a little too far.
Yeah, but something's not right. Hold on. We were kind of in a hurry when we set up.
When Paul sent me a picture of this painting, he sent me his start, and it didn't have all of this down here. You know what I thought it was? And it didn't have this back there. I thought you were doing a ground with roots. I thought you were doing something really abstract.
Oh, well, sorry to disappoint you.
That's so cool. He's doing something totally different.
Well, you guys...
I like this one, too.
You guys will be excited because while maybe the finished result isn't as exciting as Jenny had hoped, the process is a little different. I hear a frog.
There is a frog in your warehouse.
There is a frog in my warehouse somewhere.
We might have to try to rescue it.
So I'll bring this back. So the process of this painting is actually quite different than what we've done in the past. I got to move that globe light up.
Okay.
You guys, I'm having a very ADHD day.
Well, how's the weather where everybody is? Sid, I obviously know how the weather is for you. It's the same as us. Marlene, how is your weather? Just curious what everybody's got. Right now we've got mild, sunny. Let's see, what is the temp? It's almost 6 p.m. in Oregon, and it's 58 degrees. That's pretty warm for us, for us Oregonians.
As my dad would say, it's a banana belt.
It's a banana belt.
All right, let's get talking about this painting. So, anyway, so we're using some different, there's a few different things going on in this painting.
So warming up in a bit.
Yeah.
Warming up a bit. Okay.
One of the things, I was actually kind of inspired by Monet with this painting. Not necessarily the technique, but the composition.
Okay.
One of the things that, if we start talking about horizon lines, you've got a couple different ways you can go. You can go, the rule of thumb is a third of the way from either the bottom or the top. But then there's also some newer trends where it's much closer to the bottom and much closer to the top. And one of the things that Monet was really known for is doing no horizon line, where the whole painting is a reflection of the sky, which infers a horizon line. So there's not actually a horizon line. So I was kind of inspired by this idea of the bulk of the painting being a reflection. That's a Monet thing. Literally, I was thinking about the turtles we used to see at the art center.
I knew you were.
And I wanted to do something that was also indicative of the little pond, like you mentioned. So anyway, I like this painting. There's one little thing I kind of want to tweak a little bit with it. And that is mostly, I just felt like I wanted this area right above here to be a little brighter, which then would make this area a little brighter so that the silhouettes and everything else
No
stand out.
tweaking. You play it as it lies.
You know what? We don't have written instructions or written expectations anymore, so we can do it as we want.
The rules state you have to play it as it lies.
Yeah. So color-wise, really this painting is, if you were to just actually break it down, this painting is black, white, and yellow ochre.
Yeah.
You can do raw sienna works as well. I used yellow ochre. That's what I had.
You can use cobalt blue and
I used
even bright red.
This is our process blue. Is that what you gave us?
Cyan, yeah.
Our process cyan, magenta, turquoise would actually be amazing with this painting. So there is no right or wrong, because this painting really is more about the composition and the contrast. So with that said, let's toast. Thank you, Mountain Dew.
Cheers.
Not a sponsor.
Let me try it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
You try it first.
I already did.
When you toast, you have to take a sip or
Oh,
it's
yeah,
bad
yeah.
luck.
It's good. I like that.
It's the color of the water.
It's the color of the water. Baja Blast, baby. All right. So what's really unique about this painting is the way I painted the water is actually a lot of what takes time with this painting. So let's get into it. Let's just go for it. We're going to take our biggest brush, and what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to mix a little bit of raw sienna, a tiny dot of black, a little more black, and we're going to add a bunch of white. So kind of think like kind of grayish khaki.
Ooh, fancy.
It's our beige phase.
Think Target work pants.
Yes, exactly. I hear the frog.
I feel like I want to go let it out. Poor thing.
Yeah.
You're calling for his mommy.
Yeah, he's not. He's calling for a mate.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to take this color, and it's okay if it's a little dark to start with. There really is, like this painting, I really feel like there's a lot of room for you to just kind of be a little bit more creative and expressive with your painting. So I'm just going to kind of start up in these corners. My brush was clearly a little bit wet. Somebody's riding a dirt bike around outside. Thank you very much. Remind us we live in rural Oregon. Now I'm just going to take white now and use that white. I feel like I'm getting weird shadows. Am I getting weird shadows? Not too bad.
Face that light up rather high.
Yeah, I did.
You want me to lower it down?
You could. So I'm not going to come down very far. I'm only going to come down about maybe 2 inches with this. There's a drastic shift in brush texture with this painting. Now this is already a little bit darker than the original. That's okay.
Is it just this?
Yeah, and it's spring-loaded, so
How's that?
I guess that works. Yeah. I feel like maybe this light's too bright.
Pretty bright.
Oops, that's the wrong knob. Oh, not going to worry about it. Bigger fish to fry. There we go. Nope, that doesn't work. I think the camera's not set for dark. But anyway. It's very beige right now, this painting is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, and from here, maybe I'll come down another inch or so. Yeah, we don't need to. I'm going to turn my brush on edge and just start pulling this color down. You can turn it on side once in a while too. But I want this to be, I want you guys to get this going pretty jagged. So you'll probably need to mix more color as you go.
What is this? The
This
reflections?
is the water, yeah. Just, not, I don't want to call it reflection yet, but ambience. And so I just mixed up some more color. It's a little darker. And what you want to do is, if you do this, is wipe your brush off then and just kind of soften this transition out so you can pull this color up into the sky. So I want you to think above this horizon as being soft and kind of, I don't want to be super blended, but a little bit kind of blendy feeling. And we're just going to go all the way across. And I really want it to feel like it's pulling down from the sky.
Like streaks of rain.
Yeah. Let it be choppy. Let it be uneven. And obviously we'll have the opportunity to kind of mix and blend and do things as we go. It's totally fine because we're going to have like a shoreline back there, so this doesn't have to be perfect. .3D printers over there doing its work.
Every single day you have something.
Every day I'm rendering.
I need some plant pots printed.
We can do that. Now we'll probably end up coming back in here and adding some more of this streaking and all kinds of stuff. You know, use every little bit of paint you've got on your palette. You know, as far as mix up some more if you want to. And we're actually going to turn our canvas around in just a second. So I see, Jenny, you're using a little bit more of the yellow ochre.
To warm it up a tiny bit.
Just to warm it up, and that's totally fine. We actually add some in. It's actually a good idea to do it now. But I don't want you to get too like blendy in this area yet, like in the water. That's kind of one of the keys is we can blend above, but try to avoid blending below.
Right now it looks like you did a drippy water painting, like where you let the water drip down the canvas.
Yeah.
I remember we used to do a few of those in the studio.
Yeah. All right, so next thing we're going to do, the reason I'm going to flip my canvas around is it's much easier to pull than it is to push. And so I'm going to flip it around. It's upside down. Could be right side up. And I'm going to mix together a little bit of my blue. I don't want very much. I'm going to add just a tiny little bit of the sienna, or the yellow ochre, I should say. A little bit more of the cyan. Kind of a grayish, grayed out blue. You could add a touch of black if you wanted to. But I don't, like, I know typically I tend to want to add more of the magenta rather than adding black, but I want this to dull out.
Did you add black to it?
Yeah, just a tiny little bit, just to dull it a bit. And so I'm just going to start taking this color and just kind of brushing in. And what I'm thinking about is these are patches of blue sky. So think about this as being the sky. And this is where we kind of start getting into some abstract thinking on this. While I'm doing this, I'm going to say, okay, I want some clouds to be reflected. So I'm going to just use a little bit of white now. And I keep just using this big brush because I like this big brush.
You like big brushes and you cannot lie.
I like big brushes and I cannot lie. It's true. And this is kind of, again, when I said I was inspired by Monet, this is kind of where a lot of that inspiration kind of came in that he would, instead of having a sky painted, he would have a reflection of the sky in the water for his water lilies, for example. And so in keeping with that, what I'm doing is I'm letting this brush work be really choppy. So
pretend you have arthritis and your paintbrush is strapped to your wrist.
You're just putting the paint on there and moving away from it and just letting it exist without disturbing it.
It's pretty cool that he continued to paint, you know, even though he was probably in a lot of pain and discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose I probably would too, because it's your passion.
And don't worry too much. Like if you pull some of this a little further down into your other colors than you thought you wanted to, that's okay. It's okay.
It's like a really cool abstract painting right now.
Yeah, it was actually, there were some points in time where I was like,
should I change this?
should I just kind of leave it, you know, here and see how people react to it? But I had this bigger vision and I was like, I gotta push through to this. You need to mix up some more of your blue, do it. So the whole idea of this is it's kind of a misty day, but you've got some blue sky hanging out, but we're not actually seeing the blue sky. We're just seeing the reflection of the blue sky in the water because it's up higher than where we're looking. So maybe this is a band of clouds that we're seeing kind of hanging out the bottom edges. I would say on this right-hand side over where I'm working now, I would like a little bit, I want that blue to be a little bit more obvious. So I'm just going to mix up a little slightly darker shade. Maybe throw some little blots of it here and there so it feels like it belongs. Come back in with some white. So this painting really is about what we're doing right now. Yes, I said the turtle's important. The turtle's important to me, but it doesn't have to be to you. The reason the turtle's important to me is when Jenny and I were first taking art classes together.
At age 19.
At age 19, 10 years ago, we the art building at the school we went to was adjacent to a nature center.
Yeah, it's called the Environmental Centers. That was the actual name of it.
Yeah. And there was a pond that had all kinds of native water dwellers, ducks, frogs, nutria, and turtles. And I just remember, like, sometimes part of our classes, like, especially, it was more the life drawing or drawing classes, our assignment would be to go out and find a spot out in the environmental park and draw. And I just always remember the turtles sunning themselves out on the logs in the water. And so that's kind of what I wanted.
There were always tons of them.
Always all over. So that's, I actually, in my mind, when I first started doing the painting, I was going to do the turtle like this big.
It's funny because...
And I decided, no, let's make the turtle be a little bit more subtle.
When you sent me the zoomed in part of the logs in the water and you're like, I need, like, this is the part I'm trying to figure out. And I saw the turtle there, that my first thought was, oh my gosh, it's the Environmental Center.
Yep, that was the whole point of it. So I'm just throwing, fairly heavy glops of paint through here.
A la Impressionist painter style.
Yeah, I mean, we do get into some less impressionistic kind of stuff too, but the main thing I'm looking for in this is, and obviously everybody's painting is their own, but my intention with this texture was it to be very streaky, vertically streaky. And because then when we start doing ripples and things like that, then what we'll get is we'll do horizontal streakies, and then there'll just be streakies going everywhere. I wish I could have turtles I have a koi pond. I also have a native amphibian pond that, thanks to our dogs, doesn't really attract much in terms of native amphibians. So it's actually probably going to come out this summer and be replaced. I think we're going to do our backyard to look like Hobbiton.
Yeah.
And I kind of envision that little area kind of looking like the entrance to a hobbit hole.
We have a little tiny pond in the front yard that would be for frogs. And over early fall, a couple of mallard ducks decided that was their place. And it was like one of their daily stops. And it was so small that, like, only one of them could really fit in it.
Well, it's
so
like
funny to see.
It's like 6 by 6.
It was always the male let the female go in, and he just sat and watched. And we went out and we put oats down and tried to get him to befriend us a little bit. They were like, nope, just leave us alone and let us enjoy your pond. So because we can't really see that from the house, which is a little unfortunate.
So I'm just adding a little bit more of our khaki. I mean, we pretty much just created Best Buy's dress uniform, or clothes. We got khaki and blue.
No, there's are much more.
I know. I'm being silly.
There's a cobalt blue with pale khaki.
It's true. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, I do want to brighten this area up through here. So I'm just going to give my brush a quick rinse. This painting, because of it being kind of like a misty kind of thing that's going on, it's totally okay if your paint is not pure. So, and what I mean is, it's okay if you're picking up some of the blue in here. You just leaning away right into the microphone anyway. Oh, did you take it off?
I took it off to cough.
Oh, how polite. I thought you leaned right into it.
I took the microwave. I took the microwave off to. I took the microphone off.
So I just decided once I did this painting, I was like, okay, I like the beige, but I feel like it needs a little bit brighter.
Whoa, what are you doing now?
Well, you're too busy coughing. I just wanted it to be a little bit brighter contrast up here. Couple reasons. I want the trees to really stand out a little bit more. But I also want to give an opportunity. Like, I don't want to get rid of all the beige. You can kind of bring some back in if you want to. But I felt like this painting was supposed to be about contrast, and we kind of lost some of the contrast, even though it's really light and dark. But yeah, anyway. So I want to go ahead. I'm going to mix up a little bit more of my... Let's do this. Let's take a little bit of our yellow ochre, a little dab of black. I want to tone it down just a little bit, but not a lot. And let's just add a little bit more white. Kind of going for a light caramel kind of color. And let's just kind of start laying some of this in here too. Mostly just in the water. You can kind of brush it out up here a little bit if you want to. Just like as Jenny had said earlier, warm it up a little bit. And there's no definition at the top. So there's no place up at the top where it decides for you how far down this color needs to go. So it can go down fairly far. But I felt like my blue was coming down a little bit too far. But it's okay if a little bit of it shows, because water tends to not reflect at exact angles. It reflects at all kinds of different angles.
It's okay if a little bit of what shows.
If a little bit of the blue is up in here and a little bit of the yellow is down further.
Marlene, how many koi do you have in your little koi pond? We have 2. They're really big, and we have a net over them to keep the herons out. I don't think a turtle would stay in ours.
No, I think the dogs would get it.
Would they, you think?
They would bother it. Oh, the front maybe. Front one maybe. All right, so I'm going to switch brushes real quick because I want to start thinking about creating... Oh, raccoons. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Sid. Ugh, raccoons are so cute, but they're so bothersome.
Sid, I don't know if you know, but this is the koi you had given me at one point in time. So, Orion, we called him. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my number 8. And I'm just going to use white. And so I'm thinking about this light area right here. And I'm just pure white.
Sun reflection?
It's just the reflection of the lighter color that's up in the sky. Oh. This area, like when I got done with this painting, this area right here just screamed to me that it needed to be lighter. Like borderline white. So I'm just going to start.
It reminds me at this point of the giant painting I did for Eric.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I think the hard part maybe... What was that? Yeah. The hard part might be, for a lot of people at this point, is being loose enough with this part. Sounds like he's getting closer.
Down to 6, and 4 of them are pretty big. Last summer, our oldest koi died. She was 32 inches long. That's huge.
That's pretty close to...
Is it as close to ours?
Ours are probably getting close to 30.
I'm going to defeat him.
You can also do a few little horizontal little streaks through here too. And you can decide whether it's a more paint going on or just streaking the existing paint. I'm just streaking the existing just a little bit. You don't want to get too crazy. Get too cray-cray.
Maybe I want to get crazy.
I'm going to do the Jenny zoom technique. And you guys can see that's pretty sloppy messy. That is how I do it.
Has anybody watched any good movies or shows lately? We've been hooked on The Bear. We're on season 3 or 2.
We just finished. Yeah, just finished season 2.
It gives us some stress and anxiety because it's a really busy restaurant.
It's a lot of action. It's
a lot of drama. But Jamie Lee Curtis is she's so good in it, but you hate her.
She's in so little of it, though. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to flip my canvas again. This is kind of a fun painting to do this with.
Yes.
We're going to start working on our trees. And I think one of the things that's kind of tricky on doing trees in a painting like this is doing it in a way that feels organic and not just placed on there. So I'm going to take some black. I'm going to take a little bit of, let's go about equal parts black in our yellow ochre. I'm going to decide that somewhere in between my skyline and my brighter white areas is where our trees are going to be. And I'm just going to, it's a little too black. That's okay, I'm not too worried about it. Again, it's easier to pull.
I've seen the trailers for that, Sid. It looked good.
And I'm going to do 1, 2. You guys want to use a smaller brush? 3.
This is weird doing it upside down.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's have this one come on.
It doesn't feel like we're doing trees.
Just me liking to mess with people's heads. I do like to leave a little gap here.
I've never watched Reacher, but I see it advertised.
I keep seeing a lot of people talk about it.
We watched a show, speaking of restaurant shows, we watched a movie called The Menu with Ralph Fiennes. That was really good. It was I guess a lot of people, it's like one of those movies you either really like it or really don't like it. And it was kind of one of those ones where...
By the way, I'm getting a lot of these kind of V'ing out, and be careful not to get too carried away with that. Throw in a relatively straight one once in a while. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's one of those shows where it ends and it's like, what did I just watch?
What in the world? And so I also think it's kind of fun to kind of maybe throw a broken tree in.
This is scary to do while upside down. My brain does not like this.
Right?
My brain is telling me to stop.
Let me see something. Where's the mouse? I want to make sure that you have it set
members.
Yeah, but did you do all members or just?
I just duplicated the last settings.
Okay, so all channel members while it's live, Jenny.
Oh, nobody ever told me that. You have to tell me that. Why did you get a message?
Yes.
Was Daniel locked out?
Yes.
Well, what's the digital members or higher?
Those are the people that get access to all the saved ones.
Oh, well, I didn't even. Okay.
You're an owner of this organization. You should know those things. All right, so. Huzzah! And let's do a couple skinnier ones. Knock yourselves out. Not literally. Because I ain't your mama.
It looks like you have an abstract painting and you're creating runes on it now.
Yeah. And I flip it back over. Oh, it makes more sense. Oh, I'm going to go. Here's one that's broken. Is leaning across here. That's good. All right, so this is where it gets fun, y'all. Not really. Not yet. I'm going to take a little bit. I'm going to freshen my brush up. And going to kind of create a shrub line. Official term.
Grubby shrub line.
Obviously, if you need to mix more color, mix more color.
Oh, we just watched The Queen's Gambit, too.
I think we talked about that last week, didn't we?
Oh, we may have. That was so good. I can't believe that we waited so long to watch it.
Yeah, I was really, like, sad when it was over. I was like, oh.
Yeah. What now? Sid, you would probably like that one, too, if you haven't watched it yet.
Is it on
Netflix?
Netflix.
It was a made-for-Netflix show, I think, from, like, 2022, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was 2022.
Yeah. Marlene's seen it. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy did such a good job. I really like her a lot.
Okay, so I'm going to mix up a little more of our color. And just like we've been doing, I'm going to start by pulling this color choppily down into our water. Mimic. Now you can kind of mimic what's above. So if it goes a little higher, you want to come down a little lower in the water. If it paints over something that's already there, go for it. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do.
So we ran out of our tearaway palettes here, and we just realized tonight. Paul has one, but this is what I'm having to use tonight.
It works.
It works. It just won't be able to be washed out.
Better than being in a landfill.
I was told by someone who had seen it, the actress in it was really a good actress. Not wooden and sand-like, like Hayden Christensen.
There's sand everywhere.
He got better in his later years. He just wasn't quite ready.
I think he had bad directing.
Yeah, I think so too, because George Lucas isn't necessarily known for
Getting more out of people.
Yeah, because like even like Mark Hamill was not winning any awards as Luke.
Well, I've seen other Mark Hamill movies from back in the day.
Corvette Summer.
Don't get me wrong. I love me some Mark Hamill.
He's great.
He's a great follow on Blue Sky, y'all. Just saying.
He was on What We Do in the Shadows. I didn't realize it until I heard his voice and I was like, that sounds like Skips from the regular show. So what is this you're dragging down here? Are you only doing some parts?
I'm doing the whole thing.
Okay.
It's the reflection of the land part.
Good voice actor, but not so much a great visual actor. Yeah.
It's that car accident. It's that car accident he was in.
What? Corvette Summer?
No.
Was he in a car accident?
Yeah, they said that's why they had to do the whole like Wampus
What?
scene where he gets his face all gouged up in Empire Strikes Back because he had been in a car accident and had a big scar on his cheek, and they had to figure out some way to work it into the story.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
You must have to watch some serious nerd shows on YouTube.
No, this is not like some serious. Now, there's speculation that that wasn't the case. They are trees.
So are we like painting the reflection of these hills right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're overthinking it. It's an abstract painting.
I know. I have to stop.
It's an abstract painting, y'all.
Somewhat.
Just for that, next month you guys are getting really abstract.
If I recall correctly, it was in an accident, but they debunked the Wampa icy thingamabob connection.
Yeah, right. That's what they say now. By the way, there's speculation that Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilms, is retiring this year, which would be a blessing.
Oh, really? What do you think would happen that would be better?
Original ideas.
You know that one show that we started to watch that we need to rewatch? I think it's called Andor. That like got a second season.
That's actually coming out very soon.
That guy's a really good actor. I don't remember his name. I like him. Yeah, some of those little spin-offs I have not been able to get into, which is really weird. I like all things Star Wars for the most part.
Did you get the reel I sent you today that showed the human head inside a stormtrooper helmet? And it's like, no wonder they couldn't shoot because the eyes don't line up with the eye holes. The one with the witches, was that the Acolyte?
I
think so.
It was, yeah. Yes, it had like the two twin girls.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the Acolyte, I think.
Skeleton Crew is supposed to be pretty good, but we have not taken enough time to watch much of it. That's the one that was with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that one was pretty good. What happened? Did we stop watching it?
We have an offspring who, if they're not interested, becomes
the commander of the TV.
No, what I was going to say is what's his name from What We Do in the Shadows?
Laszlo?
No.
Nindor?
No.
Guillermo?
No. The energy vampire.
Oh, Colin Robinson.
They become Colin Robinson in a hurry if they are not interested in what we're watching.
In some ways, Greta is Colin Robinson.
And I don't think that they would be too offended by us saying that.
You better hope to God they don't turn this on.
So I'm just going to throw some real quick little horizontal little streaks of this color down in here too. Yay, we're having fun with
Hi,
this.
Julie. The Acrylic took 40 years for the force and turned it into the thread. Yes. Yeah, I had a hard time getting into that one. I thought the concept was kind of cool, but there was another one.
Well, Ahsoka's got another season coming out.
Was it Ahsoka? Yes, Ahsoka was the one I thought was cool.
But that one kind of taps into more of the more recognizable canon of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So just some of this little bit of some little horizontal streakies. We're going to do our trees here in just a second too, so this is where it gets fun and exciting. How are we doing time-wise? We're 45 minutes in.
Are we having fun yet?
This is going long, y'all.
I miss painting with y'all, recovering from a fractured ankle away from home. Oh, wow. That's hard.
I mean, I got to ask, do you paint with your feet? No, I'm just kidding.
Didn't you read the part where she said away from home?
Oh, away from home. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. It's rough. I've noticed just once I turned 40, I felt like I used to do a lot of working out. I ran a lot. I kind of wish I would get back into it again, but
it would be good for your mental health.
When I started trying, what are you saying about my mental health?
Well, it's a stressful period of time.
When I got back into it, or tried to, I just kept getting injured, tearing a calf muscle over and over and over. And at one point, I just remember I came home and just cried because I'm like, here I am trying so hard to like better myself, and my body's fighting against me. And that's what it felt like. It was fighting against me. Now I just don't work out. I would like to. I need to.
All right. So, I feel like this is, I'm going to do my quick little Jenny zoom. You guys can see how muddy that looks. I feel like the camera needs to have a light setting adjusted, but I'm not going to worry about it right now.
You are married to Paul. That is your mental strength sometimes.
I mean, it does take a saint.
His head is exploding right now.
No, it's not. It's fine. All right, so I'm going to just kind of take that color that we just used. I'm going to take my smallest brush. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And the thing that's kind of tricky about reflections is they have to, like this one angles a little bit. It has to angle back the opposite direction. And what I did when I painted this is I just took my smallest brush and I just kind of pulled it down. And then I'm like, okay, there's going to be other branches. So let's do, that actually could be thinned out a little bit more, like could be watered down a little bit more so it's not quite so bold. But it doesn't matter.
You know, this could easily be turned into the dead marshes from Lord of the Rings.
Sure. And you can kind of come back with your small brush here too and add some, break it up a little bit with some ripples.
Julie wants to know if that's a reflection or trees.
So this lower part is reflection, yeah. This one is this tree that is actually much larger.
Marlene, I bike every day 21 miles. That's amazing. I was doing that for a while with some friends were training for like a sprint triathlon. And then some of us who weren't training for it decided to just do the bike rides with them on the weekends. And we got in like, it's pretty amazing how you can get in 20 miles on a bike and feel like, wow, I can't believe I did that.
So here's the trick about this is we got to do all these trees.
No!
Should have prefaced that earlier.
We are committed now. Done, Paul.
But the nice thing is you only got to, the reflection part's only got to be pretty accurate for only a couple inches, and then you can get creative. And you actually don't even really have to do specifically. Let me actually zoom in. You don't even really have to do specific branches. You can kind of come through and just add even some like little ripples.
I want to show you a painting when we get home on my computer that I did when we first were running Van Gogh that this reminds me of a little bit.
You want to show me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If I tell you the name, I don't think you'll remember it.
You never know.
Actually, I don't even remember the name. Now that I think about it, I thought I...
So this painting is actually a really good example. You and I have talked about this a little bit, I think, on the air of when to stop and when to keep going. And how, like, I feel like personally, like, I don't want anybody to think that this is anybody in particular, but I feel a lot of times like I'm done when the painting's about 75% of the way done. But then I feel like when I'm teaching other people, I feel like they won't necessarily feel like the painting's resolved or it's not done enough for them from a satisfaction standpoint. So I tend to keep going with paintings instead of just kind of letting them be. And this is one that at the 70, like if we were to do this whole painting and do just this upper part and this reflection of the trees, I feel like could be considered a completed painting. But because I also feel like people want to see a little bit more resolution in paintings, a little bit more going on, it's more satisfying to them, it ends up developing a little bit more.
One thing
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's not...
No, I think I do the same thing. I always like to remind people too with reflections that the water kind of skews them a little bit, so they don't have to be exact replicas.
No, and the other thing is, like, as you get down in this bottom part of this painting, you don't know how many branches and stuff are up above. So, I mean, you can really throw a lot of just little lines and shapes and stuff in the water, and it doesn't do anything to hurt it in any way, shape, or form.
This might be one of those times where it's good to turn your canvas upside down.
You could do that. But I like pulling for this part, personally. And I don't mean like, you can do it, this part of the painting. I'm pulling for you. No.
I've returned to exactly 0 of my paintings that I say I'm not done with. Why? Because it turns out I was done. I have run into that as well. Right now I'm working on a pit bull for someone that is like, I keep looking at it and going, is it done? Like, would the person who I'm painting it for look at it and say, it's done? Or would they be like, why didn't they finish this part?
All right, guys, we got this one going here, so it's got to... Maybe I need to darken that up a little bit so it shows up a little bit more.
The only thing I don't like on mine in particular is like the scribbling of the brown.
Your reflections need to go all the way up into the background. Yeah.
So yeah,
it fights with your need to smooth things out.
Yeah.
Like, don't take that the wrong way.
I'm totally taking it the wrong way. I'm not talking to you for the rest of the night.
Well, that's normal.
Sure.
Quit sending me reels. Can't you see I'm listening to a podcast?
I do that sometimes. For some reason, Greta and I cannot figure it out. My phone sends notifications through to my AirPods, even if I have all the sound and notifications turned off. And so I'll hear Paul like cackling in the other room, and all of a sudden I hear bloop, bloop. Then more will come. Bloop.
See, I have to be relegated to the other room even.
Actually, I really like this color combo.
It's a good color combo. It's very pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this could hang on just about any color wall, and it would work.
Reminds me of the cerulean Naples yellow days.
Just more toned down.
Yeah. Paul and I both would use this same color combo all the time when we were learning oils, which was good because we didn't have to buy a whole lot of extra paint.
But you know, I still love that color combo.
Me too.
I mean, this is essentially it.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit different, but. So I'm going to bring the original in because this that I'm doing right now with the trees is something that as I went on with the original, this kind of became more prevalent, and I wish I had done more of it. But let me bring the original one in. Here we go. And you can kind of see it's not quite as, the reflection's not quite as prominent in the original, and it needed to be. I'm just going to throw that out there because Jenny knows, because I was messaging with her while I was working on this painting. I was like, there's something about it that doesn't feel resolved. All right. What did I say? No, something's getting lost in translation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not translating well. And I think it was the reflections just needed to be a little bit more chaotic. Oh, it totally gives you stepping away. I don't know if Jenny had already responded to that, but it absolutely does.
Stepping away is what I always tell our life class students, because when they leave, a lot of times they're like sighing real big, like it was such a mental drain. Even though they had a really good time and they want to come back again. And then they'll come back and say, it's really weird, but I woke up the next morning and I looked at my painting and I was like, did I do that? I can't believe I did that. I actually did a really good job. And we think it's just, our theory is it's the comparison thing where you're sitting next to someone who maybe their trees are better than yours, but your mountain is better than theirs. And you can't help but just judge yourself the whole entire time against everyone else in the classroom, including the instructor. And then when you get that painting away and you've gone and slept and look at it again, you don't have all of that, not only the comparison, but also in your head tallying up mistakes you made.
I actually...
Shoot, I did that wrong. Oh, I did that wrong too.
I actually have a slightly different theory on it too.
Okay.
Not disagreeing with you. I think you're 100% right. But I also think that, especially people who are new to painting, they get lost in the process. So they have a hard time seeing what it looks like because they're still absorbed into the process of what they did. So like these little squiggles, when you're doing it, you're just seeing the squiggles. And so you're having a harder time seeing it as being a reflection of branches because you're thinking of the squiggles. And I don't mean the Wiggles, the old show that kids were into, but you know what I mean? Like, people have a hard time, like we've seen this before, like when we're doing a hillside with trees in the background and people are like, all I see is stripes. You know, and it's because they know they painted stripes. And then when they step away from it and they see it with fresh eyes the next day and they're like, oh, okay, I see the trees now.
Yeah, we used to do this thing where we would actually say, hold on, pick up their canvas off the easel and then step back like 10 feet. And you can watch their whole body language and face change. It's pretty remarkable where they're like, oh, actually that does look pretty good.
Well,
because you're like right on it. You're 10 inches from your canvas the whole time.
And I think even like an even a more extreme example is you see the people who, and you had this happen, and they sit there and they're like, I don't like my trees, but I love my neighbor's trees. And you go and you look and they look exactly the same. Exactly the same. It looks like the same person painted both of them, but because they're looking at their neighbor's painting for what it looks not the process that they used to create it, they they lose the forest for the trees. Toot toot.
I think he's talking about the Wiggles.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't know, man. You didn't even have kids, so I don't know how you know about that.
Before we had kids, we used to watch Teletubbies.
Totally did. Get up in the morning, make some oatmeal.
I don't know why Teletubbies always ended up being on when we lived in that apartment.
It was better than watching the news.
It's true. It's funny to think. Like, I thought about that not that long ago. Like, why were we watching Teletubbies? What was it? Like, we're like, maybe it was reliving our childhood because we were like 22, 23.
There is something very cathartic about the Teletubbies. Nephews. Oh, that's true. Jeez, take it easy there.
Teletubbies were so darn odd, but my daughter loved that show. It was really weird. Like how the one had like the TV on its stomach and.
They all did. That's why they were the Teletubbies.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time. Like I don't think either of our kids really watched it.
Hayden did a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, but it was kind of had run its course by the time Greta was the right age. Now, don't forget, if you guys have this dude hanging out of here, don't forget to reflect that one. Now, I feel like I'm going to take a little bit more of our ochre and black mix and just kind of darken this up above our shoreline a little bit. And maybe if you need to pull it into the tree a little bit so it feels like the tree's kind of coming out, do that. The other thing I did on the original is I came in with my smallest brush and just added some little texture just to break it up. And I actually even used a small brush with some water and added some branches just a little bit. Again, just so it doesn't feel quite so, here's a tree trunk, but that's it. That's all you get. And you can do it right side up, you can do it upside down, whatever feels more comfortable. I think for me, doing trees feels better to go up. And I'm kind of looking like that one tree trunk kind of felt a little janky, so. But add some water to it so it's really fine. Branch, you're so fine.
I got one that doesn't line up.
Line up. Oh, with your reflection?
Yeah. Close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens. Yeah. So I'm going to take now my number 8 Make sure it's nice and clean. I'm going to take some pure white. I'm going to just kind of maybe give the impression of just a little brighter pop of white in the sky here. Just going to add a little bit more in the water. Now this time I'm going side to side. And maybe this kind of cuts across some of our little reflections in here. It's getting busy, yo. You know, this hard Mountain Dew is not that bad. It tastes sweet, but it's 0 sugar, so don't get too much with that because we're going to come back and do that.
Tell me what to do.
I'm telling you what to do.
Said this only has 100 calories. Oh, per 12-ounce serving. How many ounces is this? 20. Oh, so it's 200 calories. That's not bad.
There's a moth. Okay. So, next thing we're going to do is, so I did get my colors a little bolder in the new one. It needed it. We're going to do our two, it's actually a tree that's like a dual trunk. And we're going to put it in the water. And so you can use, let's just use our number 8. I think that works good. And it's going to come across black.
Black.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah. I mean, you can add a little bit of yellow ochre to it if you want to.
What would Monet say?
He would be like, dude, you do you. And it's going to come and it's going to bounce. It's going to pull a little Nessie, Loch Ness action.
Huh?
Going to have little bits where it surfaces a little bit more. And it's maybe, let's do this other branch part of it. Actually, let's make it a little bit more substance. And I'm going to do the other part of it. This one actually is not so much laying in the water as it's coming up out of the water. Got a little flat spot here. It's what we used to call deadheads.
Deadheads.
Yeah.
Called snags.
Well, there's that too. Believe it or not, I used to do demolition work on the river back in the day. Almost went to jail over that.
You better explain that.
Yeah. So I got roped into being foreman on a marina demolition project.
At like age 21.
Yeah, I was like 21. And my bosses rented a bunch of equipment through like our equipment rental place. And my labor ready guys dropped it into the river and stuff like that. And police showed up one day because they quit paying on the equipment or refused, and they were like, "You're the responsible foreman," and
I think it was rented out in your name.
Yeah, and it was considered theft, and and I was like, "No, this is what happened." But anyway, it was.
You're the boss, the person who owned your company, was refusing to pay it.
Yeah, the boss hung me out to dry, basically.
I think they ran out of money.
He's like, yeah, they never should have taken the job on because they were not equipped nor knowledgeable on how to do the project, nor was I. So I'm just adding some branches on here. And that wasn't the only time I had to deal with the police on that particular job, but... What
was the other time?
Yeah. That's right. My sister did not arrest me, so I was good. well, remember there was like people are stealing our materials and all kinds of weird stuff. It was not the best part of town, and
No, it's Columbia.
people were breaking into the job site and stealing the supplies that, or not supplies, but the materials that we were salvaging.
So take that Columbia Street or whatever, Columbia
Marine
Highway.
Drive.
Take that the way it was then and multiply that. Can you imagine how bad it is now?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen videos.
Yeah. Well, and part of it was my bosses had banked on recouping profits off of salvage. So like the metal roofing and stuff, they're going, oh, we're going to sell all this metal roofing and make X amount of dollars off it. And people were breaking into the marina at night and stealing the metal roofing as we were taking it off. So that was a fun job. All right, you guys, I'm going to use my little trick that I do in the foreground here. My little water foreground. I'm just going to use big brush, a little bit of black. And I want to do like, let's just kind of start. And what I do is I just kind of really quickly kind of sketch. Leave it a little bit blotchy. In fact, you want to leave bits of the sky showing. And maybe throw a little blob here. This part, I think I like this better when it's really rough. Like not over detailed. It's muddy river shore. It shouldn't be too detailed.
Daniel had no idea you were almost an ex-con.
Almost an ex-con. It's true.
There was one time that he fell in the river.
In January.
And it was ice cold, so the only thing you can do is take your clothes off.
Yeah, so you guys ever go out to a river and you see like they've got all these logs chained together end to end to end? Those are called
booms.
It's called a log boom, and it's designed to contain things. And we had debris in the river that was supposed to be there. It was stuff we'd cut off, and we had to float it over to the shore so we could use a crane to unload it. And I was walking out on the log boom, like lumberjack style, and I look up and I'm like 50 feet from the shore and 50 feet from the dock, and I see a double barge going upriver, and those things make big wakes, and I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. Because if you've ever seen a log when it's it's just like a bucking bronco. And so I started trying to hightail it to the closest exit point, and made it about halfway before the wake hit. And I was like, well, I'm going in. So I chose to dive in on the safe side. And then I swam to shore. And this is like in January. It was like 35 degrees outside.
Mm-hmm. And the water's even colder.
And the water's cold. And I'm like, well, as long as I'm wet, I might as well go hook up that rafter beam. And so I grabbed the rope from the crane and swam back out, hooked it up, swam back to shore, went to my truck. I had an extra sweatshirt, but no pants. So I stripped down to my sweat. I said, guys, I'm going home. So I stripped down to my sweatshirt, wrapped a car towel, those wool car towels?
Yes.
You remember this part of the story?
I do.
And I wrapped that around my waist and put my hoodie on and start driving back to town. And because it's up by the Portland airport, and we lived in Lake Oswego at the time, I think so. And we had an apartment. And by the way, I'm just adding
the Columbia River.
Yeah, Columbia River.
He probably had a few floaters to compete with.
Probably. Anyway, so there was this little mini mart that I was like, I need to stop and get a coffee and something warm to warm me up. And I walked in, and I'm just wearing this blanket and a hoodie. And there was this lady who was probably in her mid-50s, I would guess, and I was like 22. And she flirted so hard. She's like, how you doing, little boy?
Well, now if you go up there, it's probably like a normal sight to see people wrapped in a car towel. Nothing else.
Well, I mean, it's like I went in there. It wasn't like it was the first time in there, but she was teasing me, more than anything. But it was pretty funny. All right, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of substance here. And what I mean by that, I'm just adding a little extra color just to make it feel like there's something going on. We can come back in a minute. But I was 21 years old, fresh off of playing, or 22 years old. It's weird. I just turned 22. Fresh off of playing college baseball and working construction. I was a pretty confident young lad about my physique, so. It was funny. Dude, she sounded like Frank Stallone.
Was she working there?
Yeah, she was a worker. She worked there,
Okay.
and she had that like real hardcore smoker cackle. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah. So anyway, that's my my
Days of working on the water.
my days of being a
Days of thunder.
longshoreman.
Days of thunder.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna reflect these logs just a little bit, and I'm gonna go with my number 4 brush for this. And I don't want to use the pure black. I want to kind of tone it down a little bit. God, I hated that job.
You liked being outside, but
I liked being out. I liked working. Oh, I liked working at the end of the airport. It was kind of cool. I remember the first time a pair of F-15s took off, though. It scared the crap out of me.
yeah, because they would fly. The airport's right at the end, the mouth of the Columbia River, and
Not
so
the mouth.
Is
No,
it?
no.
Okay. You would get. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It was right at the end of the runway. The
So,
marina was
yeah,
right at the end of the runway.
Yeah, planes would come in real low. They still do. You go like going to IKEA, you see them, and when we drive to Skamania Lodge, we'd see them coming in.
Well, the thing that was weird, so the F-15s are the military, so it's a Air National Guard base as well as Portland International Airport. And the F-15s, which were the premier fighters at the time, they would a lot of times have to work in between the commercial airliners. And one of the things they had to do was get out of the air path quick. And so the F-15s used to do what's called a vertical takeoff, where they would take off, and then as soon as they got to a certain elevation, they would just go put in the full afterburners and go straight up.
Crazy.
And the weird thing was, is right where, no, it wasn't like a Harrier, because Harriers go
from the ground.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So it's like full acceleration straight up, and where they would turn to go straight up was right over our marina. And like you would feel it. And the first time I was out there, we were under this roof that was kind of like collapsing, and that's why we were out doing demolition, is because this roof
It was a marina that collapsed.
Yeah, it was a
in
marina
a snowstorm,
that
ice storm.
collapsed in a snowstorm, and so we're out there trying to get it torn down. So anyway, we're out there and we're surveying the site, and all of a sudden the whole place just starts shaking like crazy over us, and we're like, what is that? And like we went out and we realized, like we thought the whole place was collapsing around us, and it just turned out it was just the F-15s taking off. But I could like write a book about that job almost.
Yeah, I remember when the boss of the other company, the good boss, came to you, and he basically was letting you go because he's like, you're too smart for this. I do not want you to get stuck in this.
Yeah. Well, he hired me to finish it. And then he's like, you've got a better future ahead of you than doing this construction business. There was one boat that was still there, that was still moored at the marina, and it was owned by a guy that owned one of the strip clubs in town. And he would be down there with dancers all the time. Like, they would come down and go down on the boat and be there for hours. And it was just like, somebody's applying for a job, apparently. That was a weird job because, like, my bosses wouldn't let me hire real people. We only could do labor ready. And, like, I think we went over the 3 months we worked on it. I think I had 26 different guys at 3 a day.
Woo.
So it was like, I ended up with two guys that stuck up. But all these, not all of them, but a lot. It was a dangerous job, and so many of them were like, I don't want any part of this.
A lot of them maybe didn't know how to swim.
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't, and a lot of them I didn't want back because they were drunk.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Or on alcohol, and not alcohol, drugs, and we had rival contractors who had bid for the job who would call OSHA out on us, and it was. I'm glad I don't do that anymore.
Billy says, afterburners you can feel in your body. I lived near a military base with F-35s and F-22s.
Yeah, so you do feel it. It's crazy. And we would get when the big like commercial airliners would come in and land, they were pretty low, and they would have these little like little vortexes that followed them. And I know you were out with me in the boat that one time when the one hit us, I think, and it just
remember.
It's like getting hit by a
Maybe
truck.
I tuned it out.
Yeah, maybe. Probably smart. All right, so enough of Paul telling stories. What?
The vegan strip club.
No, what is it?
We have a funny story about the vegan strip club.
What does that say?
Dear Penthouse, you wouldn't
No,
believe it.
No.
Oh, enable type to Siri shortcut.
No.
Okay, not now.
You must have clicked something on the keyboard on accident.
Oh. Not no.
Dante's?
More stories. Okay, so we do have a really funny
Casa Diablo story.
So there is a vegan strip club in Portland in the industrial area, right? Isn't that by Montgomery Park area?
Yeah, it's kind of out that way.
So they give out cash in $2 bills. I don't know why. Do you know why?
Yeah, because then the strippers get more money.
Okay, so
they only give change
in $2. They don't make $2 bills anymore.
They do.
I thought they didn't.
Well, anyway, but they only.
You tell the story better.
Well, you killed the punchline already. Anyway, so when we had Vine Go, there was a young guy who worked with us, and he was one of our bartenders, and he taught a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Reed. Mm-hmm. And he was working, and I was teaching, and I kept seeing him cracking up, and we take a little break during the in-person classes, and I went over and I'm like, what are you cracking up about? And he goes, this lady, and she was probably mid-60s.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, she keeps paying in $2 bills. And I didn't know anything about the Casa Diablo at this point. Is it Casa Diablo? Anyway. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, well, she said that her husband always comes home from work with $2 bills. And he said that he gets it in change from where he goes to lunch. And I'm like,
now we know where he goes to lunch.
I'm like, okay. And he goes, well, yeah, there's only one place in Portland that does that, and it's a strip club.
The vegan strip club.
And so we're sitting there, we're like, oh, that's awful and funny, and I don't know how to react because I don't know if I should feel sorry for her or if I should laugh at this moment. And no, I'm not going to tell her because that would get awkward. All right, so you guys, I'm going to paint some little grass up here. She was totally oblivious. I mean, she was bragging about the fact that her husband comes home from work with $2 bills all the time. It was like...
at that age, she probably wouldn't even care.
I don't know. You would probably care.
I don't know.
Just say you would care.
Does that help you?
It makes me feel better. My sister's watching, for gosh darn sake.
That was a funny story. Those are the things that make me miss having a studio. Weird little stuff like that.
I think the biggest problem I had was when Reed told me the story. And Reed was this
How do you know Reed?
Well, Reed was like what? He was like
20s.
Early 20s, or no, mid-20s.
Yeah.
And a college student and stuff. And the hardest thing was not absolutely completely losing it laughing when he told me. But again, then I felt bad for her if she didn't know. But, oh well. What are you going to do?
What she doesn't know won't hurt her.
Right? But she was paying for all of her drinks with $2 bills. I was like, whoa.
Hopefully Reed washed his hands.
After handling all those twos. Oh, I miss all those people.
At that age, she might rather he go.
Maybe that's what Jenny was saying.
We got red stained cash we thought was bank robbery cash, but was Casa Diablo with their money. Wait a minute. What? Red
What?
stain. That's what Sid said. We got red stained cash we thought was bank robbery cash, but was Casa Diablo with their. Why was it red stained?
Don't want to know. Don't ask. For those of you who are outside of the Portland area, Portland had the reputation for a long time as of most strip clubs per capita of any city in the country, and I would probably say one thing that's not being accounted for is quality. Hey, should we shift the discussion to a different direction?
It was the $2 bills.
Sorry.
It was the $2 bills.
$2 bills. All right. So, I'm glad that we can laugh about this kind of stuff.
It was a publicity stunt.
Oh.
When I worked at a bank as a teller, we had the ink. They're like ink packs that would explode if you gave out a certain bundle of cash.
Daniel, I can say that too, but it doesn't mean it's true. All right. So I'm going to paint a turtle. And it's just a little...
I feel like I should highlight my tree before, because I don't think it'll show up.
I actually didn't highlight the tree.
I'm going to highlight mine.
You can highlight it.
I'm gonna.
And then I'm going to use my... hopefully we did not alienate people tonight. I mean, it's just a story. It's not. We're not advocating and saying... So there's my little turtle. If you want to do more turtles...
We are neither for nor against.
We can neither confirm nor deny. The only time I've ever been to one was with Jenny when we were in our mid-30s. So I guess that's safe.
That was like a friend group thing.
It was a friend group thing. And actually it's funny because we met people there from our town who we didn't really know, but we knew who they were, and they're good friends still. Our strip club's friends.
Funny meeting you here.
Everybody was out on a birthday party, and we just...
It was a 40th birthday.
Yeah.
Many moons ago. You had... Oh, yeah, you probably did have to go for work. Did you do undercover there?
We don't want to hear about Sid's undercover at the strip club. That could be awkward. Just kidding. All right, so I'm going to add some extra little pops of sky color. Sid, I got to see Mom and Dad 3 days in a row. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
And tomorrow your mom turns...
81.
Is she 81? Yeah.
Yeah. So I might see them 4 days in a row. I don't know if I'm going to make it out there tomorrow, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Hayden can't go because he's doing a thing with my parents.
So I'm
and
just
Good
adding...
is sick still.
Oh, that's true. I probably should... Well, yeah.
And I have a thing with Rhea.
So I'm just adding some of the sky color in here. So this bottom area, where I like to do it kind of really loose and choppy, and then kind of come back and just add some little...
Still like that, Sid.
What? Oh, yeah.
Terry and... Stories make the videos much more entertaining.
I'm glad, because I love telling me some stories.
We like to be slightly unhinged, but also a little bit hinged. Good balance of hinged to unhinged.
I'm fine with being completely unhinged most of the time. There's plenty of boring in this world.
There is. Sid, I wanted to ask you, have you ever gone to Rimsky's Corsa Coffee in Portland? I think it's up by Alberta, I think. So I remember we passed it on the way to Alberta Street Theater. Is that where we went and saw? No, it was a Broadway.
We went.
Adobe Rose?
No,
No,
Alberta Rose.
Broadway Rose?
No, not Broad Rose. Alberta Rose.
Alberta Rose Theater. I really want to take Greta to Rimsky's. I went there in high school and I haven't been back since. I'm glad, Marlene. Glad you laugh a lot. I have watched different YouTubers doing painting, and some of them are entertaining just for the aspect of they give a lot of information and their personality, entertaining. But some of them are like, oh boy, like not super engaging, I guess I would say. Yeah, there were some neat stores surrounding the Alberta Rose Theater that I really wanted to go in, but they were all closed because it was late. We were there for a Halloween, what was it, Evil Dead the Musical, and so it was pretty late.
Cover for me.
I went to go to Alberta. My grandfather was born up there. Different Alberta. Hey, can you get citizenship there then?
Oh.
Canada.
Hey.
Hey, can you get citizenship?
Karukaku.
I love Canada. We went there to Vancouver in 2004. It's been a while, and I loved it. We stayed in I got a good deal through Hotels.com on a high rise.
What was it? It was like a 4-star, Four Seasons? Was that where we stayed?
I don't know. It was a 5-star hotel, and we were on the 10th floor, and we woke up the next morning, and the whole city was covered with snow, which we heard from other people.
It was snowy when we got there.
Was it when we got there?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was apparently not a normal thing there.
It was the
most
most
so close to the ocean.
That was the most snow they had in 20 years. All right, guys. So we're getting close. Where are we at? Hour and 32. So I was just thinking about something. I was thinking, a lot of times we tell people that that they think too much when they're painting, right? Instead of just painting. And I was just thinking about how we're sitting here having these full conversations, talking, telling stories, creating this painting, giving instruction while we're doing it. So clearly we're not thinking about the painting too much because we got all this other time. So if I can do it, you can do it. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create I've talked about this recently. What's Sid say?
Sid says, Mari told me to tell you she misses the baby that lived in the closet. Oh, that's you, Paul.
Oh, yeah. Mari, my fourth sister. Jenny just got to meet a couple of years ago. All right, so I'm going to create, we've talked about this recently on one of the other paintings, where it's this highlight / shadow color. So it does both things. And it's going to be this ambient mix of all of the colors up above. So let's get our number 8 brush. And ambient mix is my favorite word. White. A little bit of blue.
I got no room left on my palette.
You should have just taken a piece of paper from
I know. I thought about that like a little bit ago.
Here, let's do that.
Can you pull one out from the middle?
Yeah, no, but I don't need
Here's
the whole
what mine looks like, you guys.
You could do it right in the middle there and it would work fine.
It's wet. It's got wet black paint.
Well, I don't need the whole palette.
So what is the ambient color for?
It is going to be our highlight and shadow.
Oh, you didn't have to do that. Okay.
For the water.
This one's on its last sheet, too.
Yeah, we're getting low.
Okay.
So it's got to be light. So it's going to be
white.
Yeah.
Cyan.
White, cyan, or blue, whatever color you're using. Little bit of your
ochre.
Ochre. And it's going to take more white than you think. Like, you want it to be really pale. And we'll do a test here. Let me just see. Okay, so that's perfect. When I say that's
Is mine
perfect,
too light?
yeah, probably a little bit. Because it needs to be dark enough that it's a shadow
Oh, okay.
on light sparks. Light sparks. So I'm going to just zoom in. I painted it right there. And it could actually be maybe a little darker.
How's
but
this?
Yeah, there you go. It just kind of has to be this medium tone. So, and I'm just going to take it and start. You can be kind of heavy-handed with it.
Is this your water current?
Yeah, it's kind of so. It's going to cut across in spots. So it's going to cut across our dark areas and become a highlight. It's going to go into our light areas and become a shadow.
Magical.
Yeah. And so this is actually the same color that we're going to use to create a shoreline up here. You can use a smaller brush if you want, but if you want a more exciting shoreline. Oh, I'm off camera. There we go.
I didn't know you had zoomed in so much.
And where you can really tell, like, if you've got the color right, is if up here, let me zoom out so you can get the full scope of the painting. When you get up in here, if it feels really too blue, you know, you might add a little extra white to it just to tone it down. But if it feels blue instead of just kind of like a little bit of everything, then it's too, you need to add a little bit more white and maybe a little bit more of the ochre. And I've seen people do this and it feels blue instead of like feeling like it's just there. No yellow.
Name that movie, guys.
I know Sid knows it.
Probably Daniel, too.
I don't know. I'm sure Daniel knows it.
What is your favorite color? Blue. No yellow. Yeah, Greta hasn't seen that.
I've tried to get them to watch it. They would love it. I don't know. The Gen Z appreciation for off-color humor.
What was the question? It was, do you know the name, what movie?
Yeah, no, that's from the movie.
Oh. Okay, it's been a while since I've seen it.
So this
If
part,
you're blue and you don't know what to do, I think you go.
I just went to this last.
It was Monty Python.
What was it? When was it?
Search of the
Last
Holy
year?
Grail.
No, last year. Last March or February. I went and saw John Cleese.
Mm-hmm.
The last chance to see me before I die tour or something like that.
That was like a year ago.
Yeah, it was for Matt's birthday, and Matt's birthday is
coming up.
Yeah.
A few days. Literally.
Yeah.
Did he do some stuff from Monty Python?
He showed clips from it.
Oh.
You know, his daughter opened for him, and she was hilarious.
And how old is she?
She's like 35.
Oh, okay.
No, I think she's really close. She's maybe 45.
Okay.
But he's like 85. But it was funny. He's like talking about all of his wives. He's been married like 5 times or something like that. And he's like, out of all my wives, you're my favorite offspring. But, okay, so I'm going to take this same color. I'm going to use my smaller brush.
What are we doing here?
Just adding some.
I didn't bring my shadow down far enough. Or dramatic enough, apparently.
Just add some ripple. You might need to add a little extra white when you get down closer in this foreground.
Having a kid in your mid-40s. So we went out to dinner with a friend of ours the other night after we did a poetry club thing at our nonprofit, and one of our friends went, and we just went to the next door pub.
The Irish pub.
And she was telling us about someone she knows that they had twins at 55. I can't imagine.
But
I
what did she-
cannot
As she
imagine.
put it, the petri dish was fruitful.
Ugh. And one of them ended up being really needing some serious special needs, like will never live on their own. And gosh, that would be like, I can't imagine having.
Well,
But I'm also.
that's
I
what
also
twins
have,
are for.
I have a lot of anxiety. So I just worried about my kids so much when they were young. Like, what disease are they going to get now? What if they get the flu? What if this happens? What if that happens? That, like, my mental space is not good for having.
Have you guys seen that movie Failure to Launch?
Is that our Hayden? Is that what you're talking about?
That may be our reality.
Well, Hayden is also
Well,
autistic.
I can accept that.
So he will live with us forever probably, but he could live on his own. I just don't think he really has the drive to.
I mean, who's going to make his dinner?
So yeah, I mean, I'm fine with him living at home.
I'm fine
easy.
with both of them living at home as long as they can.
Greta better get out. I'm just kidding.
As long as they start contributing a little bit.
Greta doesn't want to live at home forever, which that makes me glad, because if Greta wanted to live at home forever, I'd be like, okay, I did something wrong. There really should be a color called Walter White. That's true. This is Winter White. Sometime we'll use Walter White.
Would it have to be like an acid green though?
You know, it's funny. So Bob Ross, like, I watched Bob Ross a lot as a kid, and because it was one of the shows that my dad wouldn't yell at me for.
Just
watching.
a second. I'm just using just some pure white as well down in this foreground, and just adding some more definitive ripples.
So yeah, it's more educational. So my dad wouldn't come in and yell at, "Why is that TV on?" Blah, blah, blah. And anyway, I just remember every time he'd mention Hooker's Green, we'd be like, "What did he say?" And then I was at Blick the other day, and I literally saw Hooker's Green.
Well, yeah, it's a legit
I almost
color.
bought it just to bring it home and laugh with you. And so we could use it on our show here and be like, we're using Hooker's Green.
It's named after a guy whose last name was Hooker.
I know, but when you're like 10 years old, or I don't know how old I'm, 10 years old, and you hear that.
I would have had to have been 13 to understand what that was.
Yeah, I probably. But it's kind of funny. I just thought it was funny to come across it, because I thought it was a Bob Ross color. You know, he had his own.
Van Dyke Brown.
Yeah, it was Van Dyke. Hey, you could have a color named after you.
Oh, what would it be? It would be Stormy Blue.
And it would be like Paul Ochre.
Be like Shilly Slate.
No, it's going to be, you always use yellow ochre or raw sienna, so it's going to be that one.
No, but it's got to be this combination of the blue and the raw sienna.
Paul's ambient ochre.
Paul's Ambiance. Ambiance by Paul. Like, we're just going to, let's actually come out with our own paint line and have it all sound like fragrances.
And do the commercials for it, like the fragrance commercials.
Yeah.
Where you just like have this really like attractive guy like riding a motorcycle.
But then it could be like
with a paintbrush in his mouth.
What was the they could be like Flashdance, and they would pull the cord and then the paint color like pours over them as they're draped.
That would be good.
Like our Hooker's Green could be called $2 bill.
Oh boy.
Maybe we shouldn't always drink Mountain Dew.
I still have like half of mine left.
It's pretty good. I like it. Like it. This is definitely like around the campfire kind of drink.
Yeah. Is it gonna keep us up all night? Does it have?
No, it
caffeine?
doesn't have caffeine.
Okay. That's crazy because Mountain Dew is known for.
Well, it's like the monster, the hard monster.
Chili slate, blue steel look.
I just did the look. You guys missed it, but But like Monster Energy makes their own hard drinks too, and they also are caffeine free. It turns out that caffeine, the uppers from caffeine and the downers from alcohol are actually have really harsh for your heart.
Daniel says you should use the music from those old Alpine White Nestle's commercials. Are those the ones that are like, Nestle makes the very best.
N-E-S-T-L-E-S. Yeah.
That's one of those ones that will never go out of my, like, oh, I will remember that forever. There's some certain commercial songs that just
Real Men of Paintings.
What is that from?
That's the Real Men of Genius, like the Coors Light.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Was it Coors Light or Bud Light? I think it was Bud. Thanks to you, Mr. Can Opener on a Belt Buckle Guy.
Mr. Paintbrush in your pocket guy. Yes, those commercials. I remember a lot of the 80s commercials. Like, you remember My Buddy, the doll My Buddy?
Yeah.
My buddy, wherever he goes, I go. I can't remember. So, like, sometimes we actually have watched YouTube compilations of 80s commercials. I don't know if you have, Daniel. It's so nostalgic. And also, it's like, I remember that commercial being way cooler than it actually is.
And then you kind of go, then there's times you go, holy shit, they put that on a commercial? So just for fun, I'm just taking little extra bits of color.
Elevator gasp. Service buds for you.
Oh, that's right. The Real Men of Genius, though, those in and of themselves were absolute genius.
So we need the Real Men of Painting. There needs to be a calendar of all the YouTubers that do paint tutorials. The Real Men.
I don't know. I mean, if I were the cover child, it might sell, but I don't know about those other guys. All right, so I think I'm done.
Good night, Julie.
Oh, wait, hold on. Julie, you can't go yet. No, one thing left. That's it. We're going to do some flowers. I'm just going to take some red. Okay, you can go to bed now. It would actually be really funny to do like almost like a spoof channel of what we do, but do it like Zoolander characters.
Oh.
Like you'd have to act like Zoolander. There's red in the flowers. Blue.
How do you get the files out of the computer?
We paint without a paint. That didn't make any sense at all, but then neither does Zoolander.
I love David Duchovny's in Zoolander.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's the hand model that keeps his hand in like a hyperbaric chamber.
You could do that and like have the hyperbaric chamber and tape the paintbrush on it. So it's like, yeah. We put the dibbly-doo on our toe.
Those Real Men of Genius commercials were sung by the guy from Survivor. I think Eye of the Tiger.
Were they really?
I just tried to post the Zoolander pic at one line.
They were really sung by the guy from Survivor? That's actually hilarious. With that said, what isn't hilarious is the fact that we're done. And we have to say adieu. But I'm going to sign it first.
And I'm going to put mine for sale for $1 $2 bill.
$1 million. So let's look. Let's compare. Hold on.
Wait,
no, I'm just going to compare to my original.
Oh, okay.
Let's zoom out a bit. You might see my knee. Oh. There's my original. I like the new one way better.
You say that every time.
No, I don't. I do not actually. A lot of times I like, usually I feel like there's things that I like from the original and I like from, there's our mouse. Yeah, no, I like the new one better. Maybe I maybe feel like the blue's a little bit more intense on the new one than I would have.
More Bahama blue.
yeah, than I would have liked.
I like it.
But it doesn't matter. But I like this foreground better. I like the trees, the reflection better. I like that this is more white through the middle instead of golden. And let's get this one out of here. Let's get this one in here.
Mine is definitely my style of
It's
painting.
definitely, you can tell which of us painted which one.
I'm not suited for Monet
rough.
style painting.
You just,
Although I kept this really rough, and I
You did.
surprisingly was happy with it.
yeah, you just always like to smooth everything out, and that's just a personality trait, and that's kind of, everybody's got their own way of dealing with that.
Marlene likes tonight's better. And the first one looks like it was during a smoky night. Yeah. Thank you.
Yay.
It is kind of fun to see the two different styles because we are very unique to each other as far as how we paint.
Okay, so this, let me just say, ADHD, OCD.
Oh my gosh, you're right. That is like a complete illustration of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually really like the way my sky color turned out.
And yes, we are both diagnosed. So it's legit. So.
You see my cute little turtle? I put like little spots on its back.
Daniel says your background is really nice. It is.
Thank you.
I actually, I like the soft background.
Mine is actual tranquility. Yours is ADHD tranquility.
But from across a room, you're right. That is ADHD tranquility. Take a walk in my brain for once. It's.
Oh, we did for two hours.
Squirrel. It was funny when we were rehearsing, when I had Hamlet, and I was having trouble learning my lines, and Jenny was helping me, and there literally was a moment where I yelled squirrel because there was a squirrel outside the window and it distracted me. And then we laughed. I was like, ah, ha, ha, ha. But, all right, we ready to bring it back?
Yep.
Bring it round. You got to go all the way. Oh, maybe that camera turned off.
Okay. There's Paul's head.
There's my head. That's why I wear a hat.
Yeah, we don't want to see his bald spot.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. Well,
It's because it's that whole like charging thing doesn't work right. So
Wow.
we'll just keep it here. You guys can still hear us, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
We could turn in and be like, "Oi, we'll see you later." But anyway, you guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I hope you guys had fun.
Tomorrow starts a whole new month.
It does, and I think one of the things that our goal, at least my goal, for 2025 when it comes to Palette Knives Out, is to have more nights like tonight where we're really just having fun and painting, sharing what we know, because that's what really, to me, makes it worth doing.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey, bald is beautiful.
I'm glad you could join too, Sydney. It was nice to see you.
Yeah. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow, but maybe not. I'm going to say probably not.
Oh, for your mom's birthday?
Yeah. I mean, I saw Mom and Dad the last 3 days.
Yeah. Well, we can have something for your mom. Yeah. Okay. So we will keep in touch with what we have coming up in March. I think I'm ready to march into spring paintings.
Yeah.
You probably are too.
I don't know.
I actually have some ideas for some older ones I want to redo. Not ones that I did on this channel, but studio.
I'm thinking that maybe in March I might throw everybody a curveball, but I don't know what yet.
Do a winter painting?
No,
You're going to paint a baseball?
like,
Do a
remember when I
curveball?
did the mushrooms painting?
Oh, yeah.
You know, or every once in a while I'll just do something that's just completely different. Like maybe I'll do a leprechaun with his feet sticking out from underneath a pot of gold. No, I won't do that.
Oh my gosh, you should do your pint and fiddle painting.
No, I don't want to readdress that one.
Okay.
If I redid that one, it would be so different.
Yeah.
So like, that would actually be kind of fun to do though. Maybe.
All right.
Maybe I'll do it.
You should.
I don't know.
We're going to sign out. You guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll post a picture of our finalized paintings on our Facebook group page. And
We'll see you in
soon.
about 3 weeks.
2 3 weeks.
2 to
like
3 weeks.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.